Did you know with an Alipay Tourpass, you can have access to all Chinese sourcing websites using your bank account in your home country without opening a Chinese bank account? And if you want to know exactly how to do this, stay tuned for this video. This video will be broken down to the following topics: what you need, the process to apply, chatting with customer service if you were to run into problems, some limitations, and if you stay until the end, I will show you some additional tips on how to make purchases easier with an Alipay even when you're not in China and have no Chinese bank account. Let's go. So let's go with what you need first. You need a passport from your home country that is not expired. The passport must be yours, and you can't be trying to fool the system by using your family members, because that's a scam. You gotta have an actual phone number with a SIM that's approved in the list of countries that Alipay supports. And I'll put this information in the description down below to see if your country supports Alipay. You'll obviously need some kind of a bank card, like a Visa or MasterCard from your home country. You're definitely gonna need some patience as well if this is your first time dealing with this kind of scenario. So now let's go into the process of how this works. First, you'll make an account with Alipay, and I'll put the app information in the description down below so you can download the right one for iPhone or for Android. You're going to want to select your home country and input the phone number that you're going to use for this account. Once you've made the account and you've gone through the one-time password with your phone number, then you're going to need to go to the search bar and search for Alipay Tourpass. And you want to look for a button that looks something like this. To make things easier, make sure you're using the international version of Alipay, which you can access under the Me settings, and then click on the version and you should have the option to select on the international version. Now here's the fun part. You actually have to go through an application process to validate your passport. This is where they do some kind of verification and authentication to make sure you're a real person and you're not committing fraud. At this point, you're gonna need to have your passport with you and be ready to take a selfie as well as a picture of the first page of your passport. After you go through authentication, then your account should be open. And once you've passed this step of passport authentication, then you go into the fun part, which is topping up your funds. So how this works is that you use your respective country's account, and then you can top up using your local currency and get RMB. Note that the fees are 5% for using this platform. So at this point now, you can add a bank card to top up your account. At some point during this process, you may be asked to create a payment password. This is one of the most important passwords. That's usually a 6-digit number that you will create. Do not forget this number, because if you forget it, it is quite a hassle. So remember, write it down somewhere, do what you need to do to remember the payment password. So once you've successfully added the bank card, that should match your passport, your name and all that. If it doesn't match and they sense that you're using someone else's credit card with your passport information, you're at a big risk of getting your account frozen. Think of this as money that you can use in China when you're shopping here, or that you can use on platforms that accept Alipay like 1688, Taobao, Pinduoduo, etc. But realize that there are limitations to using this because you don't have a Chinese bank account, and I'll go into those limitations a little bit later. So now let's talk about chatting with their customer service if you were to run into problems. There's actually many methods to do this. If you're not the person that wants to contact them directly and have a conversation, you can email them at this email right here, and I'll put it in the description below. Make sure to include your phone number, your passport number in the email in the video description, and explain your problem, and they're pretty good to respond within 1 or 2 days. You can also select the live chat option on your Alipay account during their business hours in China, which is typically like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. inside China. So you got to take that into account when using this. So what you do, you go to the Me tab and you click on customer service, and you click on customer service again. You're going to start asking questions. Hey, how do I reset my PIN? Blah, blah, blah. Eventually, it's going to ask for a representative, or if you want to talk to a customer representative. At this point, you click yes, and then you're going to be put in the queue to talk to the customer representative to solve your problem. They may require you to authenticate some things, like say, hey, what's your passport number, all that. And this is probably the fastest way to deal with your problems immediately. Now, if you're in a super rush and you actually have minutes that you can use overseas, or you're physically in China, you can call their hotline, which is the phone number I'll put right here and the description down below, if you want to solve the problem immediately. And maybe it's something that the chat couldn't solve or the email couldn't solve, and just be ready to have your passport information and all that with you. From my experience, their customer service is not bad. They do it all in English, and it can help you with about 90 to 95% of your issues, as long as they don't detect any fraud. Because if there's anything suspicious with your account, they can easily just freeze it and be like, nope, reapply in 3 months and you are screwed. Let's talk about some limitations about using this platform if you plan on using this for sourcing goods in China. You cannot send money to people with Alipay. You can only pay on platforms like I said, Taobao, Pinduoduo, 1688. But if you're trying to send money to someone directly on Alipay, it will not work. You actually need a Chinese bank account or a fully verified Alipay account to do this. But if you want to buy something at McDonald's, you can use the Alipay Tourpass. I mean, that's what it's meant for. It's really meant for tourists, but this is also a way to get in the door of buying goods from China without physically being here. Now, here's a big kicker. You can only do up to 2,000 RMB per transaction. So if something were to cost 3,000 RMB, you won't be able to purchase it with Alipay Tourpass. And for every 3 months, you can only spend up to a total of 10,000 RMB. After you've reached that 10,000 RMB, you're gonna have to wait until your Alipay Tourpass expires and then reapply. You can also change your bank cards, but the limits stay the same. So let's say you've already spent 10,000 RMB. Yes, you can change your bank cards, but you have to wait until the time runs out to spend another 10,000 RMB. I mean, you can try. I'm not your parent. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just letting you know they're smarter than you may think. In my opinion, the Alipay Tourpass is a perfect way to get started for your sourcing journey in China. Now, as I mentioned, there are specific countries that support Alipay. And if you're not in the specific country list, you cannot use Alipay Tourpass, unfortunately. And they're kind of unpredictable on how many countries can use it and when they shadow ban some countries or all that. It's not so clear. Now let's talk about additional information that can help you sourcing using this platform. Well, once you make the Alipay Tourpass and you verify your passport, you actually automatically get a Taobao account. You can simply go under the Me tab and click on your photo up here, and you can see your Taobao number here. So what does this mean? Once you're logged in on Alipay, you can open the Taobao app and you can use Alipay to log in automatically. Because using this method, you won't need a Chinese phone number and you won't need to be inside China to make a Taobao account. Then once you're logged into Taobao, you can then open 1688 and do the same process. Either log in with your Alipay or your Taobao account, and now you are ready to go to buy stuff on Taobao or 1688. If nothing is fraudulent and you ain't trying to scam people or trick people, this process should be pretty smooth. I hope you learn how to open your Alipay Tourpass account and that you can start sourcing from China. By the way, I go through in great detail about all the sourcing platforms in China in this video right here that you should definitely check out if you already opened an Alipay Tourpass and want to know what the next step is. Let's make sourcing easy.